Get excited, traders. It's the T3 indicator. I know it sounds boring. It is boring. But that's not what we're really looking for here. Now is it? And welcome everybody to the Indicator Profile series for Wednesday. Because this one is nice and boring, there's not a whole lot to really talk about, so let's just go ahead and get into it. If you're new, please enjoy. But also know, a lot of this is not going to make sense to you, but that's okay. What you need to do, you go to nononsenseforex.com, you read that first page, you watch that first video, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do. If you like indicators, this is the premier indicator channel on all of YouTube. And this is exactly the place where you need to be. For the rest of us, let's get into the specs. The year here was 1998. That does fall within the 1996 and on threshold. If you ever see indicators that came out around this time, they were typically discovered in a magazine called Stocks and Commodities. And I think there was an E version of that later that I used to look at, but this was the only place where you could discover new indicators back then. Very dark times. But we're grateful for them because there was a lot of innovation that came out around this time too. Now this is going to be a baseline. We have not done a baseline in a while. I don't know why that is. Sometimes things just come up. Sometimes we mean to do a baseline, but then we have to replace it at the last minute. Sometimes we have a particular indicator in mind, then we have to replace it. But welcome back for the time being, baseline. Now the subtype is just a standard baseline, pretty basic as you're about to see. And as far as using it as an exit indicator, I'm going to say no. I think on the blog, Dan is a little more liberal on this, but I am going to say no for this one personally. So let's take a look at it. I don't know if yellow was the best choice of color, but I'm pretty sure you can see what we're talking about here. Pretty simple baseline. When price crosses and closes above it, that's going to be a long signal. And then when price crosses and closes below it, that is a short signal. Now, at first glance on this one, it looks really, really tight. Too tight, to where you're getting way too many signals. And you would be correct. This is, if I recall, the default version on the default settings. I don't know why this guy would come out and make an indicator this tight on the default settings, but we don't hardly ever use the default settings here anymore. I think there's some out there like Ichimoku, for example, where the default settings are best, but we've learned through this series that we can typically do a lot better, and we're going to. But before we get into those testing results, please understand, sometimes the tests were done yesterday, sometimes the tests were done weeks ago. We try to get it pretty close, but it's not always the most modern time frame you're going to find. But it's not always done right on the day that you see this video. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you have to test this yourself and you have to see how it performs in your system because that is all that matters. Also know that in the description, you're going to be getting a link to my blog, my automation blog, that shows you how to test this on your own, which is good. You're going to get Dan's blog that tells you everything you need to know about the settings, the history, anything you may have ever wanted to know about this thing is going to be there. You're going to get Dan's second email address. If you want to send him an indicator for testing on this show, you can do that there. And then you get a place to download every indicator we talk about on the Indicator Profile series. So, lately we've had some up indicators and some down indicators in terms of performance. Some that perform well on certain pairs and certain indicators that perform really well all across the board. Which one is this? This boring old baseline, how did it do? Let's go to Euro USD. Really nice here. Actually, I like that ROI, and you should too. Decent amount of total trades, probably. Keep in mind this number is going to go down. You have a lot more on the 4 hour, but I have a feeling most people who trade the 4 hour who watch this channel are probably doing some type of automation. So total trades would mean a little bit less, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Moving on to gold, better, as we often get on the 1 year on gold. You get that low win-loss ratio, but you can get a very nice ROI. And after the tweaks we did, before the tweaks, look at that. 150 trades. I mean, not every day is a trading day. So that's almost every other day you're getting a trade, which means you are getting stopped out a lot. So that is not what you ever want to see. If you ever want to see how many trades is too many, something like that on something like gold that does not trade every day like Bitcoin would, for example, even if this was Bitcoin, this is way too many trades for me. I would certainly want to adjust that. So on to S&P. Pretty good, man. S&P has been probably the toughest instrument that we profile here to get the best results on. And so when I see something that already beats the national average right off the jump with a decent amount of trades, I'm pretty excited about that. And then let's go ahead and round off with Bitcoin. Again, this one just performed all the way across the board after the tweaks. Pretty ridiculous on its own. But if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, again, these are just basic tweaks. You can do better than us. Your baseline, which is a place to where a lot of you I know start from when you're doing your back testing, you can already start with a really nice ROI. And so this turned out to be quite a find. We're very happy with it, and we hope you are too. We hope you're happy with the channel as well. Subscribe, hit the bell. We have everything here. We have a Trading Psychology podcast on Monday, Indicator Profile series on Wednesday, blog on Thursday, investment podcast on Saturday. Yes, that's a lot for one channel, but I don't stop because this market doesn't stop. So you shouldn't stop either. And go get it.